Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Welcome to the Blue Chip Podcast by fans for fans. This is your host Cody Potter. How y'all doing? Going to get into this Seattle Washington breakdown. Kind of skipped the last week preview for it. Had a lot going on. Pretty busy. The game was it wasn't a pretty game, man. Prayers up for JD5, a quick recovery, losing Luke McCaffrey on the first play of the game to a broken collarbone, and losing Marshawn Lattimore later in the game to a torn ACL. I kind of waited till this point in the week. Wanted to get a little bit more clarity as to what was going on with the dislocation for Jayden. See what the trade deadline brought. Yeah, so, it's a lot of gloom. It's a lot of doom and gloom around the Washington Commanders this year, man. The biggest thing I'm not going to do is I'm not gonna kill the coach, man. Dan Quinn obviously wanted to get a good drive. They were driving down the field, got hurt at the inside the 10 in the red zone. Another hip drop tackle. It's the third hip drop tackle style play where Jayden Daniels has been injured this year. It's just evident that this year is just not our year. There's no other way to really say it. Teams decimated by injury. Players that looked really good as rookies have regressed, in the mold of Mikey Samerstill, who did have an interception in this game. It's just things happen like this, man. I mean, you get a certain high from running to the NFC Championship game. You lost to the Eagles, and then the way that you lose to the Eagles is kind of carried over into this season. There's been a lot reported on the Terry McLaurin thing. Him holding out. Realistically, man, I like Noah Brown as a player, but there were some personnel decisions that really went into this year that you can question them. There's going to be a lot of questions at the end of the day. You just have to understand that we're never going to fix this roster, man. If anybody wants to blame anybody, okay, if we're going to put some blame, if we're going to be those people, and we're going to put some blame, then let's throw it at the Ron Rivera regime. Because let's be clear, man, when you draft 4 years of first round players and all 4 of those players are not on the team a year into the next regime, you clearly were not hitting the mark. Not saying that some of them players can't play in the league, but most of them aren't. Chase Young is doing whatever in New Orleans, but he's not the player that he was touted to be with the number 2 overall pick. We have a very similar, thing with how Jayden Daniels came in, rookie of the year. Same thing, man. Jayden's a really good player, man. Jayden is a very exciting piece. But when you're watching this team, man, I've really gone back. I've watched a lot of tape from last year. I've watched a lot of tape from this year. A lot of tape from other teams. I'm watching how teams are playing us compared to how they played us last year, and it's just very evident. Everybody wants to fix the defense, man, and the truth is when you lose 3 edge rushers for the season, you came in knowing that the edge rusher spot was going to be a spot that needed some work anyway. You're getting some production out of it, but at the end of the day, man, this roster was never complete. You still have Bobby Wagner on the field. You still have Zach Ertz on the field. You're really keying on a lot of older, aging veteran players to make substantial impacts for this team, and some of them they're just not complete football players at this point anymore. It doesn't mean that they don't have an impact, that the leadership that they display on the field doesn't really matter. It definitely does. Zach Ertz he's a red zone threat still, but he inside the 20 to 20, you don't get much from him. Bobby Wagner is slow. Frankie Louvu's not having the same impact as he had last year. Some keys that you are seeing is Jordan McGee flying around. You see players, making impacts on the team. It's just not consistent, man. Everybody wants to toast Quan Martin, but Quan Martin had a hell of a year last year, and this is just life in the NFL. When teams have tape on you and they see how they're working with you, when you have holes on your roster, teams are going to exploit them. And we've had a tough schedule, man. We're playing teams that are all 5-2, 5-3. Whatever it is. They're really good teams, and they're really good teams for a reason. last year we didn't have the same schedule, and we were able to win the games that we are not able to win. In fact, this year we're not even in most of the games, and that just is a status for what this roster is. So, I let the trade deadline go a couple weeks ago, kind of talked about the Brian Thomas Jr. availability or whatever. I said it wasn't going to be much as far as the likelihood of making a deal, but we didn't trade any players away. Most fans are, it's doom and gloom. You see Jayden Daniels dislocate his elbow. It was a horrible looking injury, man. But at the end of the day, man, the refs got to call the flags that are on the field, man. The injury that he sustained in Green Bay, hip drop tackle. The injury that he sustained after the Chargers game, the very next week, hip drop tackle. And then, you watch the Dexter Lawrence roll up on him. It was still a hip drop tackle. It started the same way, where he's wrapping him up, dropping the hip, sliding forward, and then he rolled him over, and that's why Jayden dislocated his elbow. At the end of the day, if you're not going to call the penalties that are on the field, it's what the referees are supposed to do. It's supposed to be 15 yards half the distance to the goal in that play. It doesn't really matter because the players are getting hurt, and this is football. The biggest thing that I'm noticing on the field, man, is you're playing without Terry McLaurin. We don't have anything over the top. These defenses are bracketing these guys, man. They're just playing levels across. They're not anything deep, and they're just running at Jayden Daniels. They're trying to get him off his spot so early that he's running around and there's nobody open. He's scrambling at the time that he's looking for most of the players. Realistically, would I play him again this year, man? It'd be really hard for me to put this boy out on the field without Terry McLaurin on the field at any point for the rest of the season going forward. You're just too predictable on offense, man. You don't have the wrinkles in your scheme. You don't have the personnel to really mask this one player, and this is what I'm about to get into about this game, man. Talking about the Seahawks, man. All credit to them. I mean, they're playing hella football. Our defense played opportunistic football last year. They were able to get after the passer. They were able to cause turnovers and things like that. They're not making the same plays. The tackling has been an issue because there's a lot of elements on the back end of this defense that are not flowing and swarming to the football, man. The strong safety play is just not good enough. The linebacker play collectively is just not good enough. And realistically, now we're so many injuries deep on the edge, at the edge position, that really no matter what we're doing, whether it's the 3-4, 4-3, 5-2, whatever it is, we don't have enough bodies to get home. And that's, so like I said, if you want to blame anybody, blame Ron Rivera. Blame them for not being able to make personnel moves. Blame them for not being able to draft and develop. Everybody wants to harp on AP. Realistically, man, getting Jayden Daniels some offensive protection, it was a good idea. But, at the same time, there are some questions where it's like, hey, Noah Brown has always had an injury history. That he has not played a full season ever in his career. At a certain point, you really had to have understood that you were missing elements in this offense. And while you did bring in Debo on this team last year, were probably in the Super Bowl because you had Jeremy Brown and Terry McLaurin who were taking the top off the defense vertically. The defenses aren't playing teams very much different from how they were playing us last year. The only thing that I'm really, really seeing is there's no safety playing back. There's no Terry McLaurin. There's no Jeremy Brown going over the top. So it's not allowing Zach Ertz and Olamide Zaccheaus and the guys that we had last year translating over to this year with Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, guys like that. They're just bracketing them tight. They're playing levels across. They're passing off, and just at the end of the day, if you're running after Jayden Daniels and he's running for his life all the time, you have nothing over the top to threaten a team and back them the hell off of you. Realistically, it's stop the run game, make Jayden Daniels run. And if you do those two things, we see what's happening. He's getting hurt, things like that. We're not playing him like a typical quarterback, and we're just not deep enough as a team. Which leads me to a topic where, we talk about on football forums and things like that. How do you fix the defense? Well, what is the best case to go about fixing this team? Is it fixing the defense? Is it adding a Caleb Downs? Is it adding a pass rusher? Is it adding a linebacker in this draft? Yes. There's plenty of these guys that are going to be in this draft. The further that we're getting into this season, the more I'm looking at this team, you got to be great at something. last year we were great on offense. Last year being great on offense was very, very beneficial for this team. Not having personnel that can take the top off of defense, we are at the point where realistically, to even get something working for this team, to be able to even have a shot in games, the weapons are not what we need them to be. There's really good wide receivers in this draft, man. Whether it's Carnell Tate from Ohio State, who I think would probably be one of the best fits for this team. I think he's a hell of a football player. I don't think it would be an overdraft, even if we were picking in the top 10. I think Carnell Tate is, with his size, explosive abilities, route running abilities, catching traffic, everything like that. He has everything that you want. At a certain point, I'm looking around this roster and I'm like, well, what would be more critically impactful to making this team win football games? And honestly, it's, to me, getting a 1A, 1B receiver to pair with Terry McLaurin that gives you a long-term replacement for Terry McLaurin. Probably bring in Deebo Samuel so you can bring back Deebo Samuel on a contract, hopefully a team-friendly deal at this point. You know, he seems pretty happy here. At the end of the day, this team can compete with a really good offense. If you added another wide receiver, if you could get anything out of the tight end play, which I'm not going to keep bringing up Ben Sinnott because they just clearly, they're not using him. They're not trying to use him. They're not really, I mean, he's a run blocker at this point. Spending a second round pick on a run blocking tight end, it's not really going to work. So at the end of the day, you know, how does this team improve its roster? You know, like everybody, you know, oh, we didn't make any trades to get any better. Well, we suck, and this is just what it is. Well, honestly, at this point in the year, I think it takes a lot of stones for AP to not make a trade. You know, start trading away Daron Payne and start trading away all these players for picks. Maybe you can get the value for these players that you assess them at. Daron Payne does have another year on his contract here, and you know, at the end of the day, I think this front office believes that realistically, minus the pieces that have been hurt and the pieces that they plan on adding this offseason, they still have a chance to contend. You know, Terry McLaurin basically missing the whole season. That's just what it is. It just happens. But at the end of the day, they got to get this running game figured out. At the end of the day, they got to figure out another weapon on this team outside of Terry McLaurin. You cannot go into next year looking at Noah Brown and even thinking he's anything beyond a number 4 wide receiver. Luke McCaffrey being hurt, you know, he showed some signs of life this year. I would expect Jaylen Lane in his second year to look a little bit better, and he gives you a little bit of vertical presence, even though he's a smaller player. At the end of the day, man, I think really wide receiver is probably a position, and I'm all about physical football, man. I would love to get an edge. I would love to get a Caleb Downs, you know, that smart player on the back end who's just interchangeable at either spot. To pair with Quan Martin, just very smart, can play physical in the box. Same thing with Quan Martin, can play physical in the box. Honestly, I think we're starting to see that that's probably a more natural position for him anyway. You can go many ways to fix a lot of avenues on this team. And I think, you know, honestly, if we're going to continue to lose games at this clip that we are right now, and if we're losing with Jayden Daniels, you know, for the next couple weeks without Jayden Daniels, you're probably going to continue to lose these games without Terry McLaurin and all these guys being on the field. I have no problem with Dan Quinn keeping him on the field, man. This is a violent game. This is just part of it. You know, you want to see this team be able to build off of something. You want to see them find some continuity. You want to see them start to gel and start to play for each other, and just anything that you could take away from this game, you know, when you were down that many points, and try it. And I'm not saying you don't take them out on the next drive, but I think at that point it was too early. And football's football, man. It's a violent game. Jayden Daniels knew what he signed up for, man. I mean, if you had tried to take him out, he wouldn't have wanted to come out. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you got to protect your players. You got to do whatever. He is your best player. He's your brightest piece going forward. He is the quarterback answer for this team. But he's got to play better. He's got to play smarter. He's got to understand. And honestly, at this point in his career, you can't really expect him to be at a certain level where it's, I'm going to do, dude, it's instinctual for him to play a certain type of way. So at the end of the day, man, there's a lot of things that are just going on with this team. It sucks to watch. It's painful to watch. You can't tackle on defense. Teams are just driving up and down the field on you. You're playing tough teams. This is what you're going to look like when your team's not complete and it's not playing A1 level football. And honestly, when I look around the roster, what we have left after every week in and week out of multiple players going on IR, you can say whatever because the San Francisco 49ers are dealing with the same thing and they're still winning football games. But realistically, when that roster is, whatever is left over of that roster going forward come playoff time, do we really expect the San Francisco 49ers to win playoff games without Brandon Ayuk and when all of it comes together? And that's a team that's been together. That's a team that's been developed and built for the last 10 years. We're not that deep of a team. So, I mean, you just can't compare realistically, man. This is year 2 of a rebuild. We hit the quarterback position. It's been tough to watch, man. So, I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of corrections that are going to have to come. You're going to get to a certain point in the season where the young guys are going to have to play. They're going to have to get reps. There's a lot of holes. There's nothing really else that you could say. Jayden isn't playing his best football. I honestly loved the uniforms that we were playing in. I mean, dude, these uniforms are fire. At the end of the day, dude, I just want this team to be Commanders. For what everybody says, man, just let the Redskins go. I mean, realistically, I'm not saying you can't have throwback uniforms and shit like that. They are beautiful uniforms. I love the Redskins, I grew up on them. But, man, realistically, man, I was 2 years old when the Skins last won the Super Bowl. Not saying you can't pay homage to it, but honestly, last year we were Commanders. And we were winning ball games. Bounces were going our ways. The more we go back to this Washington shit, the more we look like Washington. Last year, like barely any injuries. And it's just a freak year. And it's just the way that it is at the end of the day. But at a certain point, you got to let shit go. This fan base won't let the Redskins go. And I get it, dude. Like, they were your team. It was a bullshit reason why they changed the name. For whatever it is. Move forward. Last year, the ownership was saying, man, we are the Commanders. We are going to relive in what it means to be a Commander. That is what it's going to be going forward. Fans can't let it go. While the uniforms don't look as good as the old uniforms, whatever it is, whatever your style is, the history, the homage, whatever it is, whatever emotional attachment you have to it, at the end of the day, looking backwards does nothing good for you. This team can only move forward. If we're going to try to get away from Dan Snyder and what he did, he killed the Redskins. Dude, at the end of the day, Dan Snyder killed the Redskins. And yes, he chose the name Commanders, whatever, but honestly, I'll be grateful for that. The second that we went 2-2-22 to the Commanders, that was the day the NFL decided that Dan Snyder was no longer going to be a part of that, and every report that could have came out to make him sell this team came out. It was a shark with blood in the water, man. Like, they were not going to let Dan Snyder continue for this team, man. So, like, for everything that everybody thinks, that got to watch the Super Bowls and things like that, man, like, I understand there. I mean, dude, I have Art Monk. I have Darryl Green. I have everything on my wall, dude. I had the Redskins Super Bowl banner. Like, I love what this team was. I love the history. But at the end of the day, 25 years of Dan Snyder, dude. Like, that man killed the Redskins, dude. The Redskins are dead. They are dead. You can hate me. You cannot like me for saying that. But, dude, they are dead. I'm tired of watching the Sean Taylors, the RG3s, Jayden Daniels getting his arm fucking ripped out backwards. Like, dude, at the end of the day, man, just let it go. Like, you don't have to like the name, but you're still supporting the team. So just let the shit go and move forward. It just a piece of advice, man. Like, dude, for whatever anybody wants to say, man, like, every time we go back to this Redskins stuff, I'm not saying RFK because Dan Snyder ain't have nothing to do with RFK. So I do support going back to RFK. I do think that they should rebrand this team and do a little something, maybe put some camo into the helmet and something like that, like in the burgundy and gold, and just make it look different. Just be what you are moving forward. And it isn't the Redskins, and it ain't ever going to be the Redskins. Let it go. Just let it go and just let this team grow and develop, because dude, I see it as a fan base. I see it. Every time something happens, it's, oh, here we go again. Oh, dude, just let it go. Just let it go. This team is not going backwards. Jayden Daniels is not RG3. We are just not ready. We are not deep enough. It is going to take years to infuse this roster with young, bright potential, young players that are going to have the identity that you want moving forward. Just because players that were really good last year aren't playing up to that level this year doesn't mean that they've regressed. It just means that collectively as a roster, we are not in the same point. We are not playing the same level of competition. And next year is going to be the same thing. We're going to go down. We're going to have a fourth place schedule in the NFC, moving forward, because that's where we're going to finish in this conference this year. And it's just going to be what it's going to be. But picking that low, whoever they take, whether it's wide receiver, whether it's edge rusher, whether it's Caleb Downs, if he's available to you, best player available type thing, even though safety might not be your biggest need, even though it is a huge need by the level of, impact that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt get out of this defense, whether Joe Witt returns or not. Again, we can continue to point the finger. It's just a tough year. We've been through plenty of them. At the end of the day, we have the right pieces in place to start a true rebuild. I applaud AP for being able to get a Laramie Tunsil and a Josh Connolly Jr. These players are going to develop, and we are going to be able to infuse players behind them and get more depth, and we will be a tougher team. But we need more weapons. We have to be more dynamic. We need to be much faster on defense, man, and that's just where it starts. Going into this offseason, I would expect us to pretty much tap out into the cap. I would expect us to pay some players in free agency that fit the mold of what this team wants to be moving forward until we can, replace those players with draft picks. I expect us to recoup some draft picks, man, because you can't go into the draft 2 years in a row and having the least amount of draft picks. And at this current juncture, we are. So I think there's going to be some tough decisions made this offseason, man. And, no matter what it is, the escalator of last year having an overproductive season, it kind of did cost us this year. It made us make trades. At the end of the day, we didn't get to draft and develop like we wanted to. We still got good players in the draft. Trey Amos looks good. Josh Connolly looks solid. The tackle position is very hard to translate to. So is the cornerback position. Both of these players, I think, have, red to blue upside. I just, at the end of the day, it's going to take some time. We got another tough game this week, man. It's going to be Detroit, 4 o'clock. We beat them last year in the playoffs to knock them out. They ain't forget that. We don't have Jayden Daniels. It's probably going to be a tough game. At the end of the day, I'll get into my little preview for the Detroit Lions. I'm going to get more into college players and things like that on the pod. I appreciate you guys sticking around for it. I know this is kind of a doom and gloom episode. It just kind of sucks to lose to Seattle the way that we lost. Jayden Daniels going down the way that he did. We haven't had no reports yet as far as the ligament damage or anything like that. But so far, if they haven't put him on IR, I would say that he probably got away with one. Again, but we got to play better. We got to, dude, honestly, at the end of the day, anything that this team does moving forward, man, it's got to be about gelling as a roster, man. They got to start playing together, got to start, whatever it is, man, making some personnel things, sitting some starters, letting them coach up some of the young guys on the field when they're coming off in between snaps. I think we're going to get to that point in the season where that's what it is. There's a lot of good that can come out of the rest of this year, whether we win another game or not. And we're going to see what they do, man. We're going to see who really has the heart to improve on the field as this year goes on, man. It's been a tough year. Philly's on their way. Dallas is, making trades. Quinn Williams, he's a hell of a football player. It sucks not to be in it. After the year that you just had last year and expecting another year to come back, man. I wouldn't even call it a sophomore slump this year. It's just been a rough year for Jayden Daniels personally. And prayers up to him, man. Hopefully everything's okay with the elbow, man. Hopefully he can get back on the field. But like I said, I wouldn't put him back on the field unless Terry McLaurin's on the field with him. And it's weird to even think like that because as a player, man, you as a coach or like for whatever, man, you're always trying to develop and, improve and put things on tape. Without Terry McLaurin, though, the way the teams are playing this offense, I just don't think you can even put him on the field without him because at this point, man, you're just getting him hurt. You're just risking him further, and, then you start to impact what's going to happen going forward in the next season. At a certain point, we just are where we are this year, and we're not deep enough, and, short of Terry McLaurin coming back and Jayden coming back and maybe winning a couple games at the end, would hurt our draft stock. But at the end of the day, man, if you could show something good at any point in this year with that matchup on the field, it'd be nice to do it. Other than that, man, it's just it's a rough year, man. I mean, maybe you get one in Miami. Maybe you can beat the Giants looking forward. But outside of those two games, man, I don't see a winnable game on this schedule. So buckle up, guys. Watch some college football. Do what I do. I love college football. It's what I live for. Love scouting the players in college. Love translating them going forward. Love to identify what schemes they would really fit in, what coaching staffs I think they would really fit into. And so, I mean, that's what I'm going to do the rest of the year, man. I'm going to talk a lot of college football. Going to continue to talk Commanders. Going to see what they do. See if anything improves in any facet of the game. See if the game kind of slows down for some of these second-year players that have taken a little step backwards and not been as consistent as they were last year. And, yeah, man, we're going to get through it. We always do. I mean, it's been 25 years of this before Josh Harris bought the team. So, I mean, honestly, we know what it's like to have one good year and then go backwards the next year. So, best thing we can do at this point is hold down, not panic, see what we can do this offseason, isolate the keys on the additions that we want to make, not tear the roster down completely, and just continue to build, man. I mean, that's what it was going to be the whole time. I mean, just because we exceeded expectations last year doesn't mean that we're set back any further. It just means that we didn't have the high draft picks last year. We didn't even have a ton of picks last year. But we filled positions of need. And I expect after this draft and after this offseason, this defense will be much faster. I expect this offense will have a couple key pieces. And honestly, I think it would be really cool having Cliff Kingsbury coming back, man. Usually the hot coordinators tend to leave. Knowing what Cliff Kingsbury did last year, he might get some interest or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, I think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be back. And I like the idea that Jayden Daniels in the same system 3 years in a row moving forward, man. Like I said, man, this all can be a blessing in disguise, man. Like, just because it's rough to watch at this point in the year, it seems like maybe Jayden did get out without having, some kind of major, tear, fracture, or anything like that, man. So, it's just blessed to see that. I don't know. Like I said, we're gonna see what this season has left over, man. We're at the halfway point. We still got the bye. We're gonna see, man. We'll hear from Coach Quinn tonight, and we'll see what he has updated on Jayden, and we'll go from there, man. I'm just gonna keep reporting on this team. It's the team that I love. Like I said, I'm gonna probably be incorporating a lot more college than I normally do, man. It's what I really, really love doing, man. So sorry for this episode, man. It really does suck, but this is the Blue Chip Podcast, man. Breaking down the Commanders, Seahawks, man. It was a sucky, shitty game. It felt shitty to watch. It really hurt at the end of the game. Trust me, man. Trust me. I'm with you. It sucked. But again, I appreciate you guys sticking around for the pod, and I have a lot more coming to you guys, man. Like I said, thank you guys for sticking around. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever, man. Just I appreciate anything, any love that I get from the show. Thank you guys. I appreciate it, man. Have a blessed week. Bye.